absolutely. So if if someone came up to you now and yeah, I needed help with my own self-development, what would you sort of say would be the first sort of steps they should take?
It's a great question. Well, I think the first step is, and really two things. One is it starts with know thyself.
Mm,
What is their relationship with themselves? And no matter what, you have to start there, wherever it is that you are. So there may be a lot of work around self discovery and mindset.
mm,
So that's certainly at the foundation. And then on the far side of that, do you know your why? What's the work you need to do to really feel like, back to really at the front end of the book, what would I regret not doing it? It's one of the main questions in discovering your why, if you don't know it already. And so what will it take for you to envision that already occurring once you're clear about it, and then working backwards from that inevitability, uh, eventuality, whatever you want to call it? What is it that you need to do to achieve it? And you're now at point A. So that, that's that's how I would approach it.
mm. And like this is the thing, like there are like I know there's sort of two sort of like approaches in some regards with it. One which is like end goal orientated, and one which is sort of like you have a sort of constantly evolving goal. What would you say? I don't like. What would you say would be sort of one of the best measures to take? The end, like a final goal, or just like something which evolves as time goes by?
Well, it's certainly on a case by case basis, right? There's no universal answer, I don't think, to that question. But if I were to give one anyway,
Mhm.
uh, I, I think that again, if let's just say that you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
In that case, you're certainly going to have your goal focused around a business plan and the things that come along with that. Certainly part of the initial goal, if you haven't achieved it already, is self-sustainability. That you get to the point where you're in the never look back phase of having a company grow and know that you've reached that point, that there's quote unquote no looking back. And then there's that further vision for you as to where it is that you take it. Obviously, a succession plan as part of your business plan. So that's one part of the answer. I also will say, let's go back to the personal side, and we hadn't mentioned this. I actually am just now recovering from COVID. I got it about 2.5 weeks ago.
Right.
Not entirely sure where. My wife Erica also, went through 8 days of fever, and it's scary. It's really scary, and it's no fun. And I just am so grateful to be having this conversation now, and so sad for the many people who can't,
Mm,
and some hard times out there. And I have to say, Miwa, this is the first time in my life where I had to confront my mortality, like for real.
okay.
When you get to day 4 and 5, you're online like, what's the progression of this thing? What's the standard? And it's you're reading. You could say it's scary, or what do you know about this? Well, you get to day 10 or day 12, you're in trouble. This
Mm,
this thing gets in your lungs, right? And according to that, the average uh the span is that at 19 days, is that people who don't make it, it's that around the 19th day, that from onset, not necessarily from pre onset of symptoms.
yeah.
And you sit there and you think, you know like, I'm on day 7, or right. And so I really did have to confront that more than ever in recent days. And part of it was, well, first of all, I have a lot of unfinished business, and a lot of things that we've already talked about. But it was really more along the lines of, how do I want to feel when we all die?
Mm,
How do I want to feel when that time comes? And I realized, it's just, like, what a ride. I did it. Whatever that is. I'm pretty clear about that. But the point is that I'm curious, about what comes next,
Mm,
no matter what it is. That's being at peace, right? That's what my total end, purpose is. That why? What is that experience I want to have on a conscious level, to be able to look back and say, no regrets. And I think that's the same for anyone. So getting clear about that on a personal basis or on a professional level,
mm,
it's too easy to take things for granted. And if you don't, the point is it really doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It's not weeks, it's not months. You just have to put yourself in the place of, what is my why? How do I achieve that? And just do the exercise. People aren't going to do typically anything that either they don't have to do or they got to force themselves to do it, right? So I know that's very straightforward, but how many people actually do it? And I think that's the ultimate answer to your question.
yeah. I think with regards to many a person like out there who are thinking about doing something new, doing something different, like when they sort of look at their sort of why, I don't think they do really look at their why, and they just sort of like get to doing something because they just want to do something different. When the sort of why comes into play, more so is when times are difficult and hard. That's what your why does. It's not push it, it sort of pulls you to it. You're not like driving it forward, you're just being pulled towards it. And like, yeah, the value of that why is so important. And like, yeah, I'm sorry you had like the old COVID, but yeah, like the whole
Yeah.
thing is, I think with this year for a lot of people, um when like we all lose people as time goes by, and like, it's kind of like when you lose that person, it's like, oh yeah, I need to seize life, I need to do this, I need to go here, seize the day. And then 1 2 weeks later, it kind of gets a little bit more foggy in your mind with that sort of seize the day moment. Then a few months go by and it's gone. But this time around, with everything what's gone on, I think a lot more people have had to sort of face their mortality. People who have like had like the virus, like yourself, like COVID, and people who've maybe lost people, or just people just seeing all of it go down. I think it's made a lot more people like go, okay, yeah, where am I going? Well,
Right. And I've thought a lot about this, and I know we're at how much more serious can a conversation get
hey,
where we are right here. But someone's why doesn't have to be some great achievement.
mm,
That it really comes down to your values. It could be your family,
mm,
straight up your family. That's your legacy. Certainly part of what I see as part of my why. I'm certainly most people do, but just to live life and having an ongoing sense of awareness about the enrichment that you are experiencing, that's a solid why. Being with your family and friends and just having experiences,
mm,
making sure, just the continuous bucket list, I guess,
hey,
is that's a pretty good why. You don't have to set the world on fire, but I do think it is important to have it be, living life by choice and by design rather than chance.
mm. Yeah, no, like this is the thing. I agree. I think people sort of concepts of success um get too sort of caught up with like, how can I put it? Like, yeah, the $1 billion markers. If you like, if you don't have this, you don't have that, you are not successful. And like the truth of the matter is, like, okay, look, you've successfully got your one kid into college at this present time. The second kid looks like she's going to be on her way as well.
Yeah, I'm not
And
worried about Greta.
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like, yeah. So it's a case of bam, like that kid, like that's most really like, yeah, that is a success. I got my kid to adulthood and they seem to be able to take on the world quite successfully by themselves. And yeah, some other person will be like, yeah, I want the Lamborghini, I want the Ferrari. And look, more power to you. If that's what you want, go with that. But if you're not really in tune with what you want, and you're like going, yeah, the Ferrari's the thing, you that's a lot of misery to be chasing right there.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be realistic. Just a kind of funny comment. All the credit, of course, goes to Erica, my wife. You could take Greta and put a quarter in her pocket and drop her off on the other side of the planet and never have a worry. she she'll be just fine. So she keeps me very humble.
I
That's
see
kind
what
of
you like.
her role. She's great.
So, okay, I need to work on these survival skills. Okay, put me into Bogota. What?
No worries. She will figure it out.
Yeah. That's
Mad
like,
skills.
okay, start the clock. 3 days. I'll be back home.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. That'd be
Ah,
funny.
loving it.